Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be doing a lesson on probably one of the most important parts of the games, movement. Movement's very important for a lot of reasons. It's how you get on objectives, it's how you get to opponents, it's how you get away from opponents. Can be a very overlooked ability, very important, and very important that you understand how it works. We're going to start with the simplest one out of all of them, and that's just going to be the move. It's really simple. If you look on your model's war scroll, it'll say in the top left hand corner, move, and it gives you a number. That's how many inches a character can move. They do not have to move up to that amount. They could move, so he can move 8, he could move 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, or his full 8. It doesn't matter. There are a few limitations. So with the normal move, you can basically move fully in that 8 inches. So you can go like that, or I can do that, and then sort of go back 4 inches. Anything like that, that kind of works. With a bigger base like this, though, sometimes you've got to be very careful. You can do something like that, but you couldn't do that. That would be what's called pivoting, and that would then mean that that giant there has gained about an extra 3 inches of movement. So you need to be very careful with that. One other important thing about basic movement is there are a few limitations, and that is you need to stay outside of 3 of other units' range. So even though I can move 8 and right up to our friendly Fire Slayer model here, I actually can't. I would only be able to move just outside of 3. Now I can be anywhere just outside of 3 with my extra movement, but I can't go within 3. Steve here wants to go fight those dwarves over there because they look a bit tastier. He's got the movement. He can get outside of 3 of them. But the problem is he has to go through that unit's combat range of 3 inches to do that. And because neither of those models have the fly keyword, you are unable to do that. So even though I would be able to potentially end my move outside of 3, because I've had to go through that combat range to get there, you are unable to do that. Now we're going to start covering some of the other commands you can do during the move phase. The next one is the run roll. The run roll is really simple. You take 1 dice, unless stated otherwise. It gives you a number. It's given me 2. That now means that Steve, our friendly test dummy, can move an extra 2 inches on his movement. So his movement goes from 8 to 10. And he can do the exact same things as he could do before. So he can move in a full straight line. Again, he cannot run into combat. He has to stay outside of it. What I will say, it is quite silly to run outside of 3 because you won't be able to charge afterwards unless you have an ability that lets you do that. But yeah, again, you also don't have to run your full distance. But even if you roll a lot lower than you're going and go, well, I actually don't want to move that extra distance, unfortunately, you have still made a run roll. So the restrictions that are placed on you are still placed on you, which will be you can't shoot, you can't charge. I've talked a lot about not being in combat now. We're going to talk about one of the movement abilities that you make whilst in combat. So, our friendly test dummy Steve is clearly very frightened by that very powerful dwarf that he's towering over, and he's decided, I don't want to fight him any longer. I want to be out of here. I don't want to take anything that he's going to dish out. So what you do is you make a retreat. The retreat's very similar to the normal move. The only difference is you have to be in combat to do it. which we are, which is in 3 inches of an enemy, and you take mortal damage to do it, which is again is a dice. You roll it, you take damage. It's D3, so on a 1 or a 2 it's 1 damage, on a 3 or a 4 it's 2, and on a 5 and a 6 it's 3, and that's mortal damage. If you don't got a ward, you've just got to take it. If you've got a ward, you can potentially save some of it. If it kills the model, unfortunately the model dies. So be careful when doing that. So you've taken your damage, your model survived. Now you can move. You can move your movement characteristic, so 8. And again, you can move it however you want. You can move straight back. You could move just outside of 3. There's no restrictions on that. The only thing is, like before, you can't end in combat. You also can't shoot or charge. To do a retreat, you physically need to be able to leave the 3-inch range of enemy models. So Steve's made a very bad play here. He's ran into the corner for some reason, and the very speedy dwarfs have managed to catch him and pin him in. So what does that mean to Steve? Well, like we said before, his base can't fit round either side, so he can't slip through that way. And even if he goes as far back as possible, in any way you will do it, he's still going to end 3 inches for any of the models in that unit. So unfortunately, Steve, the test dummy, can't make a retreat. If either of those units were flying, you could still retreat like that.
So hopefully we've gone through everything there you need for your movement and to get your games going. We are going to have other videos which go into a bit more advanced or tactical play around movement. So check them out if you want to know a bit more details. But if not, we'll see you in the next video. We hope you've enjoyed that video. If you've got any questions related to anything Spearhead, drop us a comment and we'll get back to you so you can get on the table rolling those dice. Cool.